Hello, everybody.
Perfect.
Thank you for watching today. Today I'm joined by Cathal Keaney, who is one of the Lords of the Dance in Lords of the Dance, which is currently touring and is coming to Leicester's De Montfort Ball this Friday and Saturday, which is the 15th and 16th of April.
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Cathal Keaney. I'm one of the main lead dancers in the show. I've been dancing with the company Lord of the Dance for over 10 years now. And yeah, this is a new version of the show that we have. It's the 25th anniversary. Technically, it's actually the 26th, but because of COVID, the whole world was on lockdown for 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, this 25th anniversary version of the show, we've kind of gone back to some of the original roots from the original version of Lord of the Dance. And of course, we've got some new music, some new numbers, and all completely new costumes and a load new dancers.
Amazing. And obviously, for yourself, you started dancing when you were 5. Kind of, what was it that got you into dancing then and continued through your life?
Yeah, so I started Irish dancing when I was 5 years old in my local primary school, and believe it or not, I absolutely hated dancing. I thought at 5 years old, I thought Irish dancing was only for girls and I wanted to play football, but it was actually Lord of the Dance, Michael Flatley, that kind of made me stick at it. I used to actually watch the VHS tapes. That's a long time ago now, but yeah, my mother, she would put in the VHS tapes of Lord of the Dance, and Michael Flatley and Lord of the Dance really made Irish dancing cool for everyone, but especially for boys. There's a lot of boys around my age now that would have gotten into dancing because of Lord of the Dance. So yeah, I started at 5, started watching Lord of the Dance on the VHS tapes and was like, actually, this is kind of cool. I'd love to, I've only dreamt of maybe even getting into the show someday. So to be in the show and one of the lead dancers, I don't know how many years later, but good few, but it is a bit of a dream come true.
Yeah, and obviously through your kind of career, you've won multiple championships and titles and things. What kind of keeps you motivated?
Yeah, so yeah, the Irish dancing world and even getting into shows, everyone kind of comes from the competition scene. Yeah, pretty much every dancer has competed in the show. But yeah, what keeps me motivated today, I guess it's just the love for dance. It is a very age limited career. That's always playing in the back of your head, just like any sports person, that look, I can't do this forever. So you just try and enjoy it while you can. It's amazing to be able to have a living out of something you used to love as a kid. So that's kind of what keeps me going. I just love it. I love getting to travel the world and seeing all these places, and I think because of COVID, it's nearly reignited that passion. It might have been going stale for a few years, all the bus trips and plane rides, but I'm telling you now, I think every cast member here, we don't take it for granted now.
No, I bet. Kind of, and as you say, kind of it celebrates 25, 26 years. Kind of, what do you think that's made it remain so popular?
Yeah, I think it's so the story of the show is good versus evil, and it's played out all through the art form of dance. And I really think that it's quite an easy storyline to follow. And I really think that that's why we've been so successful, is because we can tour the world in different countries, and there's no language barrier for dance, if you get me. So I really think that's probably the number one reason we've been so successful. It's just the art form of dance transcends all language barriers. It doesn't matter if you speak English, or we've been in Taiwan and China, and because we're just acting it out through dance, I think that's what makes the show so successful and makes it so easy to travel the world and perform for any audience without even having to change anything in the show.
And obviously now you're being directed by Michael Flatley himself. So is that kind of, how has that been kind of going from, say, watching him on videotape to being in the room kind of directed by him?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, yeah, I used to watch him as a kid. So when I first got into a room with him, I was not going to lie, I was a little bit starstruck, probably stuttering my words and didn't have much to say. But I've been working with him now for a good few years. I've done his last ever show with him in Caesar's Palace in Vegas. That was his last live performance with the show. And yeah, he comes out on tour, and he has his input. Yeah, it's just amazing to work with him. And yeah, he always expects the best out of us. He works us very hard, but I mean, I think that's why the show is so successful.
Yeah, and kind of is that kind of then a certain pressure that kind of people who've been seeing the show for how many years kind of expect the kind of same, don't they, almost? And obviously kind of you guys take over.
Yeah, of course, people always expect a lot when they come to see the show, especially from us performing the role that Flatley performed. So,
Yeah.
But look, he's taught us well. It's always great to work for him, and he's always there to help us out to make sure that we reach our best.
And how do you kind of, when you're on tour, how do you kind of keep yourself kind of going, I suppose, like stamina, kind of physically, kind of what do you kind of do to?
Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of you put in the work nearly before you come on tour, because when we're on tour, we're doing about 8 shows a week. We have some matinee shows. So like this UK tour for the next 4 months, it's pretty much go, go, go every day. We get maybe one day off a week, but that day is traveling to the next city. So you kind of put in the work before you come on tour. And there's very little you can do on tour apart from just managing your body. Like you're not realistically, you're not going to get any fitter while you're on tour.
Yeah.
If you've come on tour with an injury, you're not going to recover on tour because you're doing 8 shows a week. There's no time. There is no time to recover really. So yeah, it's tough. It's kind of just about managing your body, listening to your body. We obviously have an amazing physio on tour, and we have ice beasts, and we look after like all that good stuff. But it's tough. I think the way I'd have to say is it's like a marathon basically, not a sprint. So
yeah,
you're just trying to always manage, and you're looking at like my next couple of weeks off is at this end of this UK tour, which is 4 months time. So it is very, very tough. That's why it's probably a very age limited career. We do get injuries all the time, and it's okay. We have a big enough cast that people can cover. So, people do get injured and need a couple of weeks off, but it's tough managing. That's what you got to do. You just got to manage every single day.
And you kind of have to like prepare, I don't know, like differently, kind of like you say, kind of pre-show, kind of that day, you kind of like know you've kind of got to get in that routine, like even food, I suppose, kind of like you got to be kind of energized.
Yeah, I mean, we do so much cardio every day in the show. We obviously got to make sure we're eating the right food, and but yeah, like you kind of don't want to build it up too much, because like I said, you're doing 8 shows a day, so every day is pretty much a show day. But yeah, like we'll get into the gig, we'll always do good warm-ups and cool downs before the show. But yeah, every day is a show day pretty much.
Yeah, and this is probably the impossible question because it's probably changes every day, but do you kind of have a favorite part of the show?
I know I do. I really enjoy Warlords. It's my second number as lead. I really enjoy it because I have it's one of the solos numbers that I have a lot of the troupe behind me, so I quite enjoy that number. And then of course the final number in the show we call Encore, or Planet Ireland. It's the final number. It's the lights kind of come on in the auditorium, and it's probably the only time really you get to see the audience's faces, and it's at the end of the show as well, so everyone's usually up clapping, hopefully.
Kind of, what would you say for someone who's watching, like a Leicester audience or wherever they're watching, to expect from the show?
Yeah, I mean, what to expect? You're just going to have a really good time. Trust me. It's you're going to get to see lots of high intense energy. You're going to get to see 40 of some of the best dancers in the world hitting the floor at exactly the same time, multiple times a second. It's just a high pace, high energy show, and it's just really fun. I think everyone that comes to see the show, like I said before, dance transcends all language barriers. It doesn't matter if you speak English or not. We perform the storyline through the art form of dance, which is amazing and just super high energy. And I think everyone goes away having a great time.
Amazing. I wrap up my interviews with some quick fire questions. So the first one for you is, what was the first piece of theatre that you can remember seeing?
Oh, that's a tough one. First bit of theatre, I actually think it could have been got to see Mary Poppins in Broadway. Me and my brother and my dad. I think I'm pretty sure that could be the first bit of theatre I saw.
That's pretty strong. What would be the last TV show you binged?
The last TV show, Game of Thrones, is the last TV show I binged. absolutely love it. I might even binge it again on this tour.
Yeah, I suppose kind of like when you're traveling, you've kind of got that time, haven't you, to.
Yeah.
It's good. What would be one thing on your bucket list?
One thing on my bucket list. Wow. Geez, that's a tough one. I'd love to go. I've always wanted to do a bungee jump. I've done some skydives when traveling the world of the show, but for some reason, I'd love to do a bungee jump someday.
We'll get that sorted somewhere. Someone will do that for you. Who is kind of your biggest inspirations?
My biggest inspirations, I'd have to say my brother was probably one of them. He was a dancer too, and there was only 1 year between us. And I always looked up to him, when we were dancing, and he, helped drag me along through the competition scenes. And we actually done the show together, and he was a lead dancer. So he's probably one of my biggest inspirations.
That's good. Do you have a kind of favorite theatre that you've kind of performed in around the world?
Yes, it would probably have to be the Palladium in London, just because it's where I've done my first lead show, and it's an absolutely beautiful theatre in the West End in London.
That's a good shout. If you weren't kind of in dancing, what do you think you'd be doing with your life?
Well, I have an engineering degree, so I've gone to university, and I'm a qualified mechanical engineer, and I actually done a master's there during COVID time when we had some downtime. So if I wasn't dancing, I would probably be hopefully working in engineering somewhere.
What does theatre/dance mean to you?
Jeez. Wow. Just the excitement. It kind of means excitement. It's live. It's completely different to watching a TV show. There's just something always special about watching anything live, whether it's a live band or music, especially going to the theater. These people, these performers up there, they're doing it live, even though it's the same show they do every night. Like, if they mess up their lines, they mess up their lines.
Yeah.
And however many people's in that auditorium, whether it's 700 or 3,000 people, there's no going back. There's no second take. So there's something magical about just exciting. I'd say the word is exciting. You're always like, what's going to happen? Even if you know what's going to happen, anything could happen.
That is very, very true. And what would be the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given is probably control the controllables. Is basically don't be put time and effort worrying about things that are actually out of your control. If something's out of your control, what's the point of wasting your energy and time worrying about it? Just focus on the things that you can control.
Exactly. Very good again. My final question, you've kind of already answered anyway, but I'm going to ask it again in a different way. Is why should an audience come and see Lord of the Dance?
Why should the audience? I think they'll, like I kind of mentioned before, they'll have an absolutely amazing time. It's super high energy. You'll see 40 of some of the best dancers in the world, giving it their all hitting the floor at the exact same time, multiple times a second. That basically high energy is what the audience can expect to see.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your time today. As I say, the show is coming to Montfort Hall in Leicester this Friday and Saturday. Link for tickets and all the tour details will be below or wherever they are these days on description boxes. And thank you for your time today.